Have you ever wondered that when it comes to mental health and mental illnesses, that you hardly ever see anything that pertains to Black and African American people? Today I'll be discussing the views of mental health and mental illnesses amongst the Black and African American communities. Mental health is something that is viewed as a taboo within these two communities. It's something that is basically looked down upon. It is something that is not talked about as much as it should be, if at all. Because it's not being talked about, this leads the younger generations to believe that there's something wrong with them because they're experiencing things that are looked down upon. They're experiencing things that are making them be viewed as less than, according to the older generations. This can in turn lead to further mental health issues later in their lives. The African American and Black communities only make up 13% of the United States population. And even though we only make up that small percentage, we are still 20% more likely to be affected by these mental illnesses. And that can be depression, anxiety, ADHD, etc. Dr. Fletcher talks about how he was suffering from anxiety, and this was giving him rashes. It sent him to the hospital twice, and he didn't know what it was until he went there, and he was diagnosed with having severe anxiety. He decided that it was his job that was stressing him out, and even though he talked to his father, he talked to his brother about it, but his father couldn't understand that even though something so stressful and having this much of effect on his life is breaking him down, sending him to the emergency room, not knowing whether or not he was about to die, he couldn't understand why it was that his son would still want to give up his job, even if it was to better his health. This is just one of the many examples that we can find within the Black and African American communities as to mental health being pushed aside, being disregarded, basically somebody telling you that even though something is causing you to have a severe mental breakdown, you should still do it. It's looked on as something that you should just be able to overcome, and oh, there's nothing wrong, you just need to work through it. When in all actuality, people really do need help. Mental illness is a huge thing, and if it goes untreated for a long period of time, it can have severe effects that lead to self-harm. It can lead to different types of addiction, and it can ultimately lead to an early demise. Philip J. Roundtree talked about how it was hard for him growing up because he knew that there was something wrong with him, but he didn't know exactly what it was. He had suffered through trauma as a child, and it was just pushed to the side. Everyone ignored it. No one helped him get help. And when he brought it up, it was just, oh, you remember that. Oh, I didn't think that you would remember that. Just because things happen to kids doesn't mean that it won't affect you within your adult life. A lot of the time, the adults suffer from these mental illnesses because of past traumas that have gone unhelped within their childhood. And because of these reasons, it is so important that we continue to bring awareness to the Black American and African American community.